Are you wondering how to generate qualified leads during the coronavirus? And if you did generate a lead, should you sell right now? Should we not sell? Should we market? Should we not market? Is it offensive? Those are all good questions. And in today's interview with Casey Hendrix, the owner of Tex-Scapes Nursery and Landscape down in Ennis, Texas, he's going to share with us exactly what he's doing, where his business is actually skyrocketing. He's having his best spring ever. So check out this interview to find out what's working right now during the coronavirus, how to charge money, yes, real money for the first consultation, not for designs, but for the first consultation to generate really qualified leads, and how Casey's using social media, and in particular video on Instagram and Facebook, to communicate with his customers and generate a lot of sales. Plus, Casey's going to share his simple 3-step formula for adapting during a time of crisis. And as a bonus at the end, during the Q&A from this live webinar recording, Robert and I share some of the social media tools that we use, how millennials are buying gardening right now, and just so many nuggets of goodness. So be sure to listen to this entire podcast. And for those of you who are new to the show, my name's Jack Jostes, and I run the Landscaper's Guide to Modern Sales and Marketing. This is a show all about helping lawn and landscape contractors get found online by the right customers. You can read the transcript and see links to Casey's social media on our website at ramblinjackson.com/podcast. And without further ado, let's get into the show.
We weren't getting the leads that I knew we could. We weren't getting the right leads.
What started happening is that our leads are more qualified.
Our sales have probably gone up by about 10 to 15% a year.
We're going to increase our sales volume by $1 million in a year.
All right, everyone, I've been doing a live webinar series the last couple weeks called What's Working Now, where I'm featuring people from the landscape industry who are getting great results and adapting to this whole coronavirus. So check out this recap from the webinar we did this week with Casey Hendrix to see how you can grow your business. All right, everyone, so here we are. We're excited to interview Casey Hendrix from Tex-Scapes Nursery and Landscape in Ennis, Texas. So Casey, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your background in the green industry.
Hey Jack, thank you for having me on the webinar today, and thank you for introducing us. My wife and I own the business here in Ennis, Tex-Scapes Nursery and Landscape, and we started our business in 2004 as a landscape and irrigation company. And shortly thereafter, in 2005, we purchased this nursery location from another local nursery company called The Greenery. And we have rebranded it to the Tex-Scapes Nursery and Landscape here in Ennis, Texas. So we've been in business for over 16 years. We have a great team here. We have a couple of landscape crews. Project manager, landscape manager, and a nursery manager, and a lot of team members that help us to navigate our duties here, and just a whole tub of wonderful customers, as I'm sure you other business owners have as well. And we love what we do. We love to serve our customers, and we just love what we do.
Well, great. Well, Casey, thanks for taking the time to be here in springtime as a landscape and nursery company owner. I know that things are busy, and I wanted to hear from you, specific to the coronavirus and things that have changed this spring is unlike any other spring in my lifetime and probably yours. What are some of the things that you've been doing to, adjust what you're doing with your operations, with your marketing? How are you responding and adapting to what's happening right now that's working? And maybe what are some of the challenges that you face that led you to make those changes?
Well, of course, the first challenge that we thought of is we're not going to be able to have any contact with our clients, physical contact, possibly. So, the 6 feet away, and then at the head end, the uncertainty whether our governments were going to deem us an essential business or not. And we just plunged forward as an essential business, and the state of Texas came through with that. And so we were excited about that. But on the head end, of course, there's a lot of uncertainty and not knowing how we were going to stay connected with our customers. We immediately went to video and social media, and just to try to help put our customers and clients' minds at ease that we're here, and we're going to offer our services and our products any way that we can. And so right immediately, people were, of course, staying at home and sheltering in place. And so we started offering delivery services for a discounted rate or for free local deliveries for much of our products here out of the nursery. And we received an overwhelming response to that, because people were at home and still are. And they want our products so they can make their landscape and their lawns beautiful. So that was the very first thing that we did.
And tell us a little more specifically, like, what are you doing on social media? I'm obviously a fan and comment on most of your posts, but for the people who haven't seen you, you've got to check out Tex-Scapes on Facebook and Instagram and also YouTube. Tell us a little bit, Casey, what kinds of content are you putting out there, and what has been the response to that? Do real customers actually use social media, or is it a bunch of tomfoolery?
It's our real clients, and they look forward to our posts now. I wouldn't think anyone would look forward to seeing me on their smartphone, but they do, and they like to stay connected. They love to hear from the owner. And now, as many of you business owners have experienced, you've gotten so busy that it's really hard to get in front of your customers. Many times when I'm out on the nursery trying to help out, when we get overwhelmed here with sales, then one of my clients will say, I haven't seen you in a while. And then I, of course, direct them to our Facebook page so they can see me more often. But that's what we try to do. As far as content, we want to give them, I don't want to bombard them with bore them to death to where they quit following us. We like to put a lot of pictures, and we try to think here, what are they looking for? What does the customer want to know? Well, first of all, they want to know what looks good now, what they need to plant now, what's going on with their lawn. And then the big thing lately has been, what do we have available here at Tex-Scapes Nursery that they can purchase either over the phone or do a curbside parking lot pickup or get a delivery. So we've tried to, put a lot of pictures out there of our inventory, even have done some walkthrough videos of our on-site inventory, what's available here. And we've had a great response, people calling in and saying, I want that 1 gallon pink bougainvillea. I need 4 flats of the red pentas, or whatever it is. They saw it on the video, and it made them happy. And now they get to go have some therapy out in the landscape. So pictures, video, and then they always want to know the magic question: how much does it cost? so we do throw some pricing out there on our platforms as well.
Well, yeah, that's great. And, I remember last fall you made a video about mulching, and I had been renting for like 10 years, and I just bought a house a couple years ago, and I was, wanting to put mulch down before the winter time. And I had forgotten a lot of mulching 101. And I thought of you when I was mulching and remembering to leave some space near the trunk of the tree. And so some of that, like, stuff that, the people listening or watching might take for granted, of like, or you made a really good video about when to water. during summertime in Texas is probably a question you get answered, or you get asked, every day. And that type of content is, evergreen content, meaning it's good pretty much every year. At that time of year, you can post it, email it out. One thing you said just now, and when we were preparing for this, is really key, which is what's available now. And I think what you're doing a good job with is telling people what you have available and giving them instructions on how to buy it from you. One of the things we had talked about was, acknowledge, adjust, and then achieve. So tell us kind of the formula that you use to, go from, some of our people are still in like a state of chaos maybe, and you had come up with a really simple way to filter through that to figure out what to do. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, as I mentioned, and you just mentioned, the first thing when anything happens is acknowledging that something is changing. Something is happening, and acknowledging those changes to our communities was step one for us to figure out what we needed to do next. If we stay in a constant state of denial and cling to what we know, many times we can't. So acknowledging that there is change happening was step one, and then figuring out how are we going to adjust our business. How can we still serve our customer base? How can we still, of course, the first question that pops in your mind is, how are we going to pay bills? How are we going to pay our employees? If the business shuts down, how far will our reserves take us? And so we had to figure out how to adjust our business operations for worst case scenario. And so we started thinking through those things, and that's when we took to video and let our clients know that we stand with small business, we stand with our clients, and we stand with our employees and their families, and we're going to get through this. And so reassuring my employees on day one that, hey, this is going to be okay. No matter what happens moving forward, we're going to be okay. And so making those adjustments to the business, to the way we communicate with one another, and then the outcome of that is achieving success in this changing world, which we've experienced hereafter. And I think we have seen an increase in, obviously, people are at home, and so a big increase in gardening, home gardening, raised vegetable gardens. And, I'm sure many of the other landscape business owners' client base is retired or semi-retired, and many of them aren't able to construct those beds, those gardens, whatever it may be, or they don't have the vehicle to haul 4 yards of raised bed mix and put it in the garden. So, identifying right up front that we can do those things for you, and here's how you get in touch with us. Here's the next step for you, and just clearly defining that to our clients, I believe set us apart from many people in our area that were just kind of floundering and looking around going, what are we going to do next? And I wanted my clients to know that we're here for you, and because gardening it's therapeutic.
Yeah, it absolutely is therapeutic, and it's a great time of year to get started with it in many ways. And really what you're doing is making it simple. You're assessing, first of all, you assess the risks and you communicated with your team. And then what I really think you did well was proactively market and offer something to people. And I think right now a lot of people are apprehensive about selling because they're worried they're going to offend people, or and I think that you could market in a way that would be insensitive to people's, maybe a change in their finances or their health or something like that. And I also think if you're offering what you have and people choose to buy it, great. It could really help them to have an improved landscape or a garden or something to do. And what you're doing really well is giving people something they can say yes to now, and making it easy for them to get it with the home delivery or whatever the next steps are. This is a time where a lot of businesses cut their marketing where you didn't. You actually increased your marketing. Why did you do that? Like, why? You know what I mean? Usually people are like, oh my God, we better stop marketing. But you're like increasing the amount of videos you're making, and we're doing some work together. Why? Why wouldn't you just cut? Why, when you're assessing the risk and counting your beans, why not, cut the marketing?
Well, I can tell you, we have found the area that the marketing has made a big difference. And it made a difference when the economy was in a boom, and now it's made a difference when the economy is headed into a lull. And so it would be foolish for me to cut that at this point, because I believe it's one of the reasons we've been able to do well, is staying in contact with our customers. And so I don't want to go into the dark and be forgotten about. And we've actually gained new clients because we've been out there, in front of them on social media, directing everyone to our website. And so we've actually increased our customer base the past couple of months. Of course, it's springtime, and people are excited about planting. So sometimes it's hard to narrow down exactly where are these people coming from, but if we look back over the past years till now, we see that these areas that we've increased in marketing are doing a terrific job of bringing us the qualified leads that we're looking for.
Well, good. And I think as the economy changes, that people become more cautious of where and with whom they're going to spend their money. And that's why. And how are they going to do that research? They're going to do it online, right? They're going to do that. And so you're doing a lot of the things well, from your logo. I see it on your hat behind you there, to the website, to your SEO. And then the video piece, I think, is really just differentiating you and making you seem more helpful and personable. So keep it up. One of the
things that on that, Jack, is that you've really helped us with is using those platforms to build trust with our client base. And when they see that on social media, they check our website, they see our branding, it's all trust building. And when someone trusts you, they'll keep you, they'll spend money with you. They will rely on you as a source for what they need. And that's one of the things, is trust building. So
yeah,
that's really
Yeah, for sure. It is largely about trust. And one of the things that happened, so we did some work together, a couple years ago, and we started getting a lot of leads through the website, almost to the point where you now have a full, is Nathan working full time in sales, or what?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So you now have a full-time salesperson, and we were getting so many leads that, we needed to find a way to make sure that we could prioritize the people who were really ready to buy from you. So we did something that I wish I could get all my clients to do this, which is you started charging for the first meeting. So you charge for the first meeting, and you have online scheduling. So if you guys check out the Tex-Scapes website, you can literally book an appointment online. It syncs with Nathan's calendar, and you guys charge $79. This is not for design. This is for the first consultation. So tell me, before we get into the results of that, what were some of your apprehensions around that? I know a lot of people are cringing right now listening, thinking about the idea, but they're also intrigued. What were some of the fears and apprehensions you had about charging for the first appointment?
Well, obviously the first one is it's a change, and it's just a big change. And we're, as a people, as our natural instinct, we're scared of change, right? That's what all the fear with this COVID-19 is the change of how's this going to change my life? And so obviously this was a change in direction for our business. We've provided free estimates for most of that 16 years. And I have spent personally a countless amount of hours chasing and and bidding everything that every time my phone rings. And so obviously we were very apprehensive about the thought of charging for our first meeting. How is this going to affect, are we going to lose business? Are we going to lose projects that we want to bid on? You know, there's just so many thoughts that rush to your mind. And it's a big decision. It was a very large decision for us to approve and accept and move forward with that thought. And you know, you planted that in and using our website as a tool for scheduling meetings. And you know, more and more we have to do things faster and more efficiently with less and less people many times. It's just part of doing business. But we were very apprehensive about it with the thought of losing customers, losing clients, and people going, "Oh, that's not going to work. You're crazy. We're not paying you." And the fact of, you know, who do you think you are? Well, we're special.
You are. You just said you have 16 years of experience. So what has been the response from your clients? Is it working? Are you guys going out of business, or like what's happening since you now charge for what and most people in the area do for free?
Yes. And so I don't even know where to start with it other than to say people are booking the appointments, and it's allowing us as a company to spend more time on each qualified lead. And the website's narrowing down the projects for us. And so we're able to commit more quality time to each potential project. And the outcome is that our acceptance and approved ratio has skyrocketed. We have at least had a couple dozen, I'd say 24 to 30 appointments booked since the 1st of March, which doesn't seem like a lot, okay, but it is, especially when you look at most of those appointments are now approved projects, and they're on our to-do board. And we didn't have to spend all of our time spinning our wheels providing free estimates for folks that never intended on hiring us. They just wanted one more competitive bid and one more time with a professional to pick their brain for us to tell them what they should be doing so that they could hire someone cheaper to actually come and do our recommendation. So, you know, that has been a relief to us as a company because you're able to breathe now and you're able to focus on those projects that are going to be approved and they're going to be they're going to turn into something, and you're just able to help more people more efficiently.
Yeah, I think, you know, when you focus on the outcome of serving clients, you know, and you realize that at some point, if I have too many, I can't really take a great care of them. But if I focus on the people who are really want to work with me and they've paid a little something, you're able to deliver a better experience to them. So it's no surprise to me that your close rate of those appointments is higher than before. And I think, you know, for people who are scared to do this, if you think about, like, I had a client who was closing 1 out of 20 estimates. And I learned that, well, it was for a couple reasons. One, they were estimating for everything. You know, like whoever answers their phone wasn't qualifying at all. They were meeting with everyone. And worse, they were spending 12 man hours, you know, and I don't, you know, I know how much they were paying that person. It's a lot. You know, if you're thinking 10 12 hours per estimate times 19 to get a 0 result. Like, wow, what if you just met with 5 people and still sold 1? You know, like, and what if all 5 of them paid you to meet with you?
Yeah, if you're a landscape contractor and you're listening to this right now, you know where your profit's been going. You want to look at your bottom line at the end of the year and think, I saw all this money, but it's gone. And where did it go? Free estimates took most of it.
Yeah. Free estimates are definitely not free. Well, that's amazing. How have you, did you have any resistance from your staff or really what I'm getting at is how did you help prepare your staff to get on board with this? Because this was an organizational change to go from free estimates and people answering the phone, oh yes, let's schedule your free estimates, to now whoever's answering the phone needs to sell something. They need to sell a $79 something, but it's still, it changed things. How did you get the team, how did this become the Tex-Scapes way of doing the initial consultation?
That's a great question. And here at Tex-Scapes, we don't make any major changes to the company before putting it before our team, because they are so important to us. We need them on board before we ever start something. So I pitched it to them way before we ever decided to do it. And they shared my concerns, and we worked through them together. I came up with scripting. You helped me with some of the script of how to sell this proposition. And since then, we've worked together, me and the team, myself and you, to kind of make this proficient. And they have it down now. It's just second nature. They answer the phone and someone says, I need someone to come and look at my landscape. I'd like an estimate. And so whomever answers the phone says, well, what is it that you're looking to have done to your landscaping, right? Well, I'd like to take everything out and start over. Well, those are key words that we love to hear, because we recommend landscaping. I don't know you other guys and gals that are on here, but we recommend landscaping be changed every 7 to 10 years. And you might think that's crazy, but shrubs get outdated, they get overgrown, and they get tiresome. They get to be a maintenance nightmare and cost a lot of money. So once every 10 years, it's time to refresh. It's time to, you paint your house every 10 years at least. So it's time to refresh your landscaping. So when we hear someone's ready to do that, that is a project we're interested in. And so then we direct them to our website and walk them through the online scheduling process. And we let them know up front, it's going to cost you $79 to have a project planning consultation with one of our project managers. And, what am I going to get for that? Well, you're going to get a guaranteed meeting time with a professional, right? A trained professional, not just, as you say, Chuck in a truck.
Right.
Shows up, and if anybody on here is named Chuck, I'm not.
I was doing a presentation in New Jersey recently, and I was talking about Chuck in a truck, and there was a guy named Chuck, who he was in good spirits about it, but he let me know a different word for Chuck in a truck.
Yeah.
Anyways, yes. So a few key words here that you've already mentioned, though, that are very intentional, that have a big impact, is project planning consultation with a professional, right? Yes. So you're just completely changing the perception of what I'm getting versus a quote unquote bid or an estimate. Those are terrible words. An estimate? Well, what does that mean? That, well, what's going to go wrong? Like, what wasn't included in the estimate? And a bid, okay, well, I better get 3 bids. Right. Whereas a project planning consultation, I love that. And so have you had anyone just be totally offended by this, or has it been kind of smooth? Or has anybody?
I wouldn't say totally offended. We have had, some questions arise. And could you repeat that? Did you say you're charging? Well, we're going to get some other bids, so we're not paying everyone to give us a bid. Clearly, So yes, we've had some pushback, but when the dust settles, those are projects that 99% of the time we're not going to get. And I don't want to sound arrogant in saying this, but we didn't want them either, because that's not the ones that we're focused on. So, it's a good thing. It's a positive thing. And, but no, we haven't had anyone just kind of lose their mind, over it. So, the $79 has been a great point for us, because our clients have found worthiness in that, and they have found it to be beneficial. When you tell them you're going to spend, this is allowing us to be able to spend more quality time on your proposal. That's what they want to hear, because they want accurate, they want it done right. Our customers know that we pay attention to detail, and so we haven't had any kind of major things go wrong over it.
The way that if you haven't tried this, that I like to answer that, because we charge for an audit. We don't do free marketing plans either, and it's so that way we can actually assess what people need and create a customized plan for them. And the question I like to ask people when they tell me, oh, well, we talked to 3 other web people and they're doing free things for us, I always just ask, well, why do you think we charge for it and they don't?
Yes. And
then they always stop and think, and they'll usually say something like, well, you guys must be better.
Ding.
So I let them decide if they want to do it. I just ask them, well, why do you think we charge and they don't? And that's a great segue. Yeah, that question will sniff out the people who are just getting 3 bids and looking for the cheapest vendor. I think this applies to selling anything, because that the people, right, that really, I think you're going for a no in the sale sooner, right? You're getting, like, if it's a no, like, let's get to the no sooner and save everyone some time. And if it's a yes, then great, we're going to take really great care of you.
That's exactly.
Do you have anything else to add on charging or online scheduling? I mean, so what I'm hearing is, higher qualified leads, and an increase in close rate. And we can't ignore that you're generating a small amount of revenue, but it's something for those appointments. What's been the operational benefit? Because it's springtime, and like you're saying, staffing is just always hard, and you're doing more with fewer people. What has been the operational, I guess, relief or anything, if you will, from that standpoint?
That's a great question. Also, the relief from an operational standpoint is, prior to the online scheduler, someone calls here, I need an estimate. I need somebody to come out and look at my project. Okay, well, let's see. Let me get your information. So we had this sheet, and we go through, and our lady that answers the phone and does a lot of our office work here, she would go through and fill out, take down all their information, and give the sheet to myself or Nate, and then it'd be up to one of us to call them back and set up a meeting, look at the calendar. Well, I've got this project here. I don't know. It might rain. We would just go through all the when, and then start the back and forth with the client. We can meet you on Tuesday at 2. Oh no, that doesn't work for me. Let's do 10. No, we got a meeting at 10. And so this back and forth would go on for days sometimes.
Yeah.
Right. And it's amazing now. Nate can just receive these meetings, and then he can qualify them, and then he can go meet them. and put together their proposal. And then if they need a design, we can do that for them. That's an additional fee. And then, it takes out all the back and forth with the client. I had a client pulled up here the other day, and this was during the virus, and she pulled up, rolled down her window, mask on, everything. And she says, I would like for someone to come meet about landscaping. And I went through, explained it to her. And she said, well, check your calendar and get back with me and let me know when would be a good time to meet. She said, what's convenient for you? And I responded, I said, everything on the calendar, the online scheduler that you see, is convenient for us. So now it's up to you to pick a convenient time. And she went home right away and set up the meeting. And there was a convenient time 3 days away. And Nate's already met with her, and he's currently working on her proposal. So
amazing. And so what if she did contact another landscape contractor during this time? They probably haven't, one, they probably even called her back yet. And two, when they do, they're going to do the several day, well, how about this time? And like, meanwhile, you've already gotten them to pay something. The professional's going to meet with them. And like, why would they even really consider anyone else? That one of the things that drives landscaping clients insane when they're trying to buy is simply getting a professional landscaper to come to their house at a specific time. The landscapers are notorious for not returning calls, emails, missing appointments. And so if you've just removed all of the friction from the buying process for that customer, and wow, like, why wouldn't they go with you? Even if you're more expensive than the other company that took a week to coordinate that first call, okay, these people are probably going to be easier to work with. So great job doing that. And, that was an uncomfortable, one of our core values here at Ramblin Jackson is grow or die. And grow or die is all about realizing the things that you're uncomfortable about that are important, and then learning them and doing them. And I think, the online scheduling and charging for an appointment and making videos there's been things that you needed to like work through. Yeah, like you said, that change can feel uncomfortable at first, but you did it, and I'm really thrilled to hear that it's working.
Well, I appreciate that. And, I think one of the reasons that you and I connected was that grow or die mentality. I have that. And so I can really resonate with that and stand behind that. So that's one of the driving factors of making these positive changes. Sometimes they are hard and uncomfortable, but the long term of it is, I think I asked you when we were first talking about this, who else is doing this? And I kind of did a little research around my area here. No one. It was crickets.
Right.
You have some people that are doing it in other areas of the country. But I'm not afraid to try new things, as long as they can make sense and see the future of, it made sense, and my clients love it.
Good. It's ultimately serving the client in a more efficient way, and the marketplace is responding positively to that, because just because no one else is doing it doesn't mean it is a wrong way or it's a bad idea.
That's right. I would like to clarify something on it too. One of my team members, or most of them here, questioned right off, I'm just going to use the word Mrs. Smith. Mrs. Smith always hires us to do her flowers, but we have to go out and meet with her and see, does she want zinnias, or does she want pentas, or, does she need mulch? Are we going to charge for that meeting? And, I thought that's a good question. We've already won this client, and it's not a fact of a new project. This is ongoing work. And right. So there is those cases that we don't charge them the $79 to book a meeting. It's a done job. We're putting it on the schedule to do the work. So you don't have to use it for those, but the massive phone calls that come in that say, how do we get someone to come to our house? They go through the online scheduler, and it just simplified it.
One thing before I forget, have you mentioned the online schedule in your outgoing voicemail when people call after hours?
Yes.
Okay, good.
And we also have a hold message, because a lot of people get put on hold. We have 2 lines here at the nursery, and many times they're both ringing or we're putting people on hold. So we mention it on there as well. And we've gotten back on the phone more than once, and someone will say, I heard you say about setting a meeting from your website. And so definitely.
Cool. Awesome. Well, one other thing before we open up to Q&A I wanted to touch on was recruiting. I think in general, every lawn and landscape company is facing a challenge finding labor, finding not only laborers, but also managers, project managers, foremen, designers. Every position is, hard to fill. How has your digital presence impacted recruiting? Since before, when you had that, do you remember that old website that you had? Do you remember that? I'm just now remembering it from like 2 years ago. So from like going to that to where you are now, like, has it impacted recruiting at all?
It has. It has had a large impact on recruiting. And, as a business owner, you get caught up in the day-to-day, what you call doing it. And I mean, you're just grinding, and your website's there, and go to my website and you'll see some pictures of my projects or whatever. What I didn't realize is the huge impact on our branding that the website was having or not having. And being found by, you're not going to go work somewhere and you pull up their website and it looks like, a roadside, something that will be here this month and probably gone the next. You want to work for a substantial company that has benefits, that is going to be there, and there's potential room for growth and learning and personal growth, and can help you achieve your personal goals. And so once we realized that and built the new site, more than one of our hires since that fact time have said, I went with your website, everything looked great, and we have links on there. You can fill out an application, you can email it to the proper person, you can click on our careers page and it shows a picture of our team and then positions that are available, and they click that position and then they read, I've got to be able to lift 50 pounds and I've got to work out in the sun, and might not be a good fit. So then that person doesn't call us. Wonderful. I didn't have to interview that person because we put that information out there, what we're looking for very specifically. And if it doesn't fit, then, hey, move along. If it does, great, give us a call. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's similar to attracting the right clients. You need to disqualify some of them because you don't want to go through that interview process, hire somebody, and on the second day, they're just exhausted and can't hang for the rest of the season. So telling them the things that are hard and also highlighting the things that are good, right? It's a little bit of both, can really help you spend less time talking to the bad fits and more time with the right fits. And the one of the things that you do really well for the people who are listening is the photo of you and the team and your trucks, because largely what we're talking about is establishing trust with people that, okay, I could feed my family, I can grow my career here. And it's a very emotional decision. And those photos of other people is really impactful to a potential employee. So often people just have it looks like a wanted ad, like wanted person to lift rocks and mow stuff in the sun. it's like it's like awful. You know what I mean? And you do need to kind of sell people on why come do this work here. And the photos of the team and the owner in particular, I think, are really important. Even in landscaping recruiting, people do look at this before they apply. And I'm excited. I expect that you'll see even an increase, hopefully, in that. Yes, the economy is changing, and hopefully that means that more people will be available to come work at Tex-Scapes.
Absolutely.
Well, great. Well, so what I'd like to do next is do a little Q&A for the people who are here, and we're going to bring Robert Felton. He's our landscape marketing strategist, and come on board, Robert, and we'll curious to hear what some of your takeaways from our conversation so far were.
Hey, Casey, thanks so much. I'm Robert Felton. I am the landscape marketing strategist here at Ramblin Jackson. So kind of the first person you talk to, kind of figure out what your ideal customer is, kind of what you were talking about. If you're running around meeting with bad people, let's talk about those good people and figure out how we can change our marketing to be more for them. So thanks so much for coming, Casey. I always love watching your story. It's been about 2 years since we started working together. My big question is I'm a big shopper. I remember being a kid and going to the nursery with my grandparents, and I would go for Easter and I would go for all those events. And, I like the decor aspects. I like to window shop. And I'm just worried that, a lot of nurseries are dependent on those kind of events. And, how are you working to conserve the culture so that way, that nurseries don't come a race to the bottom? I can get my chimney online, or I'll get my decor online. How do you see that changing, and how have you kind of worked to conserve that culture around coming and seeing you in person and it being an experience to go to the nursery?
Well, that's a great question. And, being a small business, we don't always have the lowest price on our products. But what we beat everyone on is our customer service. We can tell you about the products. We can educate you on our products, how to use them, how long they'll last, what to expect when you use them, how to grow anything that we sell. And, so we really put a big focus on that customer service and that information, just putting out a tub of information to our clients, because and saying that, doing it in the simplest way possible, because you don't want to get lost in the jargon of botanical names of plants. That's not going to assist anyone. Mm-hmm. But telling someone what the mature height of a plant is, and if it grows in this certain area, and we tell our clients when they come up here and they're kind of window shopping, and our nursery team out there, they'll say, could I see a picture of the area? And of course they've taken a picture. They pull their smartphone out, and yep. Yes, here it is. And there's a tree over here. And so in conserving that culture, just helping to educate the clients. And, when I got in business, I worried about the younger generations that were coming on, because you mentioned your grandparents. All of our grandparents loved to garden, and my grandparents still garden. They can vegetables. They put the vegetables away in the freezer. They love old-timey flowers, and so that culture and that vintage era of gardening is not lost, and it's in fact growing. And the younger generation, we see millennials interested in gardening like never before. And so it's very exciting to be able to offer these products and services to the next generation, as well as the older generations as well, and help preserve that future of gardening.
That's awesome. And what about how you're communicating that online? Like, if I'm a millennial and we've started a garden because of what's going on. I think that's a common thing that's happening right now. How I don't know much. Like, I've been Googling stuff, but normally I would go and ask you questions, but I can't. Are we kind of creating content to continue that education? And, I've seen some great videos, but, is that kind of a priority or something that's in your mind that when you're creating this content?
One of the things that we mentioned right off is Facebook Messenger. And we have had a great response to Facebook Messenger. A lot of questions come in there on our Instagram post. Always we get questions back. Do you have that plan, or how do I do this, or how do I do that? And of course, taking phone calls, but messaging and email and comments and all of those things are certainly ways that we've increased communication with people that like to communicate that. And again, that's just a changing times.
Yeah, I'm a big texter and the Facebook Messenger and those little things that pop up. So I'm glad to see that you're doing those, and that's what I expect. And, I would buy from you instead of the other guy because of that. So thanks,
awesome.
Casey.
Thank you for the questions.
Yeah. And Casey, you said something that I think is really important, which is, and for those of you listening, my experience got started in the green industry. I worked at a plant nursery and garden center in Des Plaines, Illinois. And it was a really great experience because customer service was such a focal point of how we greeted people and the questions we asked them. And that's a really great question of, hey, do you have a photo of your area on your phone? Is an amazing way to engage people. And I love that you're using Instagram and Facebook Messenger. I'm curious operationally, like, who owns that chat kind of, like, who is like looking at that and answering it as their job, right?
So that's a great question, and I wanted to mention that we have such a great team, because none of this would be possible without all the team members that we have here. I can't do it. My wife Tiffany can't do it all on her own. There was many years we went through and just, as you said, doing it and grinding it out. And now we're just both with a great team here to help us do those things. Tiffany still does a lot of our Facebook work. The past couple of months with stay at home, she's been home with our kids. And so Kristen actually does most of the answering here of our Facebook Messenger and managing a lot of those posts and putting a lot of those posts on. And she does a great job as well. And it's helped our whole team also being in the know. What do we have available right now? What are people asking for?
Yeah.
And one of the things that I haven't mentioned is just having the products and services available, just being available. I've gone many years. I don't give my cell phone out to a lot of clients because I don't want to do all of our business through my cell phone. I don't mind. Many times I give it out if I need them to text and communicate, but I want them to communicate through our business, because Casey is not the business. Tex-Scapes is the business, and every team member is a part of that. So, them constantly managing that, I don't worry about it. They're answering the questions. Sometimes if they get stumped, they'll come and say, how do I answer this? What do I say? Or we don't know, can we deliver the asking for multiple things, and we don't know if it can all go out on one load together. So, they'll come pick my brain about those things. And, but yes, it's been a great asset, and the whole team being involved in that, each one having their area of expertise, has been key to making it a success as well.
That's really great. And one of the cool things, amidst this whole coronavirus thing, that there's a lot of terrible things. You were talking about young people getting into gardening. I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm going to share a couple things. One is the searches for gardening. So what I'm looking at is Google Trends right now, and every year it spikes, of course, and end of May or end of April, early May, people are like, oh, gardening, oh, the snow melted, we should plant stuff. And then it kind of dies down, and then it peaks again. And the seasonal peak, the highest one was in 2016, and then we're way past that now. By a significant amount, 80 to 100. So what this is showing is that people are Googling gardening, they're Googling landscaping, they're very interested in, and they're finding that information, of course, on the internet. And one tool I wanted to share with you and the people listening that we use at Ramblin Jackson is Agora Pulse. So this is a tool that I use to, and Robert, we should probably get Robert in here because he's doing a lot of messaging on Instagram, but I can schedule social media posts to go out. I can upload my videos and say, I want this to go out on Sunday at 8:00. I'm doing bedtime at 8:00 on Sunday, but I've got a social media post scheduled because that's when people are on Instagram, right? So it's a really powerful tool that can also help you from a computer manage all of the chat coming in and out of your Facebook for your business. So that was one tool that you might consider in case everyone's doing it from their phone, which is great. You still get the notifications, but this can help manage it from a computer, which is my preference. It's just easier to get in here and get out. One other thing I wanted to point out was my coach Wayne Herring tagged me, and he mentioned my nursery folks. This is CNC Candies and Country Store. They're in Friedensburg, Pennsylvania, and one thing they're doing that I would suggest that you do is Facebook Live videos. So Facebook Live, you can literally go live and make a video, and they're literally just showing people what they have. This is a 40-minute video of them walking through saying, hey, we've got bread, we've got candy, we've got donuts, we've got whatever. And so, in the nursery, you could go live on your phone as long as you have a decent signal, and go live and say, hey, it's Casey, I'm here, and today we've got roses and petunias, and by the way, we've got a sale this weekend on mulch or whatever, and show people that stuff. And then it saves it, and you can record it. You can put that on wherever you want. So there's a lot you're already doing a lot. And these are just a couple tools that I'm using and that I'm seeing people using right now that can help you do this really efficiently. Because when you go live on Facebook, you've probably seen this when you see other people go live. All the people who like your page get a little notification that so-and-so's live, and then they can comment and ask questions, and you can be like, yes, we do have, whatever plant they're asking about.
Yes.
Well, hey, it's been a real blast, and we said we'd end on the hour. I think we could probably hang out for the rest of the day talking about this stuff. So I wanted to end on time, and thank everyone, first of all, for listening, and thank you, Casey, for being a guest here, sharing all this, for sharing our value of grow or die and doing things that are uncomfortable, and sharing what's working now. I mean, this is amazing. I mean, you're telling people what you're doing, and it's working. So hopefully you all can take something away. We do have the transcripts of the interview available at ramblinjackson.com/podcast. So if you want to check that out, you can read it there. We'll have a link to Casey and his social media. And thank you all so much. Have a great week, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys next time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Casey.
Bye.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for checking out this episode of The Landscaper's Guide to Modern Sales and Marketing. Again, my name's Jack Jostes, and thank you for listening. I invite you to share this podcast with somebody who needs to hear good news. It could be a landscaper or a garden center or just a small business owner who might be having a hard time. And again, check out the show notes at ramblinjackson.com/podcast. Thank you so much for checking out this episode, and I look forward to talking with you next week.